Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studios. I'm Alistair Greener and today we're discussing the issues that SMEs face in relation to their energy consumption. And joining me is Jason Scadgel, who's the Director of SMEs at npower. Morning.
Morning.
So we all have energy, but what's the difference between energy for businesses versus that for households?
Well, of course, it's the same product, it's the same stuff, but it's very different in terms of the way you use energy for businesses. The way I look at it is that businesses succeed or fail depending on whether they've got a good product, a good service, and whether they've got good cost control. And energy is the third most important cost in terms of businesses. So you don't tend to think of whether households fail or succeed generally, but businesses do. And it's whether they succeed or fail is whether they've got a great product and whether they can grow and have control of costs. Energy is a very important cost.
Now, you've talked about businesses there in a sort of a generic way. Could you maybe give us some examples of how this applies?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's think about your typical convenience store. It might have a lottery machine, an ATM, and it's got display fridges and freezers. And quite frankly, a lot of those are often open so that you can display the product effectively to customers. But you need to think about whether you can make enough money from what you sell from those fridges and freezers compared to the energy that you use. I was with a customer very recently, has an ice cream freezer, and the cost of energy from that freezer was £1 a day. And so I asked him, how many ice creams are you selling? And he said 10. I said, well, that's great. You're bound to be making money from that. But he said, no, Jason, I'm selling 10 a month. It's the winter. So of course I'm not making any money from that. So you need to really think about the costs of energy in relation to what the product is that you're selling or the service that you're offering.
But businesses have always had energy to think about paying for. So why should they be particularly looking at consumption now? I mean, what's changed?
Well, in some respects, lots of things are the same. So clearly successful businesses have control over their costs as well as a good product and service that they offer. So that bit remains the same, but it's vitally important to understand the advice that you can get in relation to the energy provision that you've got now. And there are substantial ways that you can reduce the costs of your energy supply. So we are, as an industry, making more and more things available to customers to understand their energy use and to get to control it more readily.
So you've talked about this extra information that is now available to the business SME. What sort of questions should they now be asking then, given that?
Well, they're definitely still very interested in what's the price of my supply, how much am I going to use, how often are you going to look to give me an accurate meter read. But the things that they're not asking are, what help can you give me to take control? What help can you give me to help me use less? We've been working with quite a lot of our customers to answer those questions, and in some cases, and in one particular case of a business, we've reduced their energy consumption by 19%, a massive contribution. They would have to have been selling 5% extra of the products that they were making in order to make a similar saving on their bottom line.
You talked there about some of the conversations that you have with SMEs. What are the most common questions that they will actually ask you, and how do you at npower respond to them?
Well, they ask lots of questions. I mean, the typical phone call is, I need to understand something about my bill, I need to provide a meter read. So simple things that we can help with. But then there are more complicated solutions around, how can we use less energy? So the things that we're doing in npower is to train all our staff so that more and more questions can be handled right first time, so that you're not passed from one person to the next in an endless loop. We're trying to do a lot of things to make sure that we're easy to do business with, that you get the advice that you need, and that we resolve your problems there and then.
Well, it's some really interesting things to be talking about. Jason Scadgel from npower, thank you.
Thank you.